Former January 6 defendant is set to be sentenced tomorrow after making threats and stalking the home of former President Barack Obama. But now there's a shakeup happening in the DOJ. CBS News congressional correspondent Scott McFarland joining us now to explain more about what's going on with the case of Taylor Taranto. Scott, let's start with the details behind his conviction. We know that it involves threats to former President Barack Obama.
He was found guilty in May in D.C. federal court for the incident from June 2023. Taylor Taranto was already wanted for his role in the January 6th attack, but when he was arrested, the feds argued he had a van in former President Obama's Northwest D.C. neighborhood and that there was weapons and ammunition in the van and that he had been making some form of threats. He was found guilty. Sentencing is tomorrow. Prosecutors late last night recommended 27 months in prison. That's when there was a twist. At some point overnight, as that sentencing memo was released to the court docket, there were eyes laid upon it. And then at 9 a.m. today, inside the U.S. Attorney's Office in Northwest D.C., the two prosecutors on the case were put on leave. There's no specific explanation for why so, but in that sentencing memo, on page 2, they allege that January 6th was, in fact, a riot, a violent one, and that there have been conspiracy theories unspooled about January 6th since. The feds have pulled that sentencing memo off the docket and those two attorneys off the case.
Okay, so some big developments there. Any word from the DOJ or from Jeanine Pirro?
No comment from the Attorney General's office. Jeanine Pirro issued a statement to us that didn't directly address why those attorneys were put on leave. In fact, she said she wouldn't comment on personnel decisions, but she made a statement that said political violence is unacceptable in all contexts. To be clear here, this filing in court has been taken down. That is a rare, provocative thing, and this court filing said January 6th was real. It was a riot. That has been a conspiracy theory defying statement in this moment in time, and among those who are making conspiracy statements about January 6th, the president himself.
Scott, I want to also ask you about the latest on the government shutdown, day 29. Are the lapse in SNAP payments and upcoming spike in health care premiums adding any pressure to either side to reach a deal?
They sure are adding pressure, but there's no indication as this afternoon ends here on Capitol Hill that it's accelerated any negotiations. If there are behind-the-scenes conversations happening to end this impasse, they are so far behind the scenes you can't see it with an X-ray machine. But that Saturday deadline for SNAP benefits impacting so many people in our community, that is a pressure point that could spur conversations by Saturday.
All right, let's remain hopeful that something happens. Scott McFarland, thank you as always, and we'll talk to you soon.